What's going on, guys? It's N60 Sean, and we have got another first round match in our WWE Tag Team YouTuber series. First of all, little shout out to Harmon Kill All Great Fun. Was that his name? Yeah, Harmon Kill All Great Fun. He told me to get my hair cut. There it is. There's our resident YouTube style expert. There, a little shout out to him. Thank you for your comments. They're all very much appreciated. But let's concentrate on this here, because Chris Danger is teaming up with Will Power in this match. Two massive WWE 2K17 YouTubers. These two are the heavyweights when it comes to YouTube videos about this game, in my personal opinion. Anyway, so Chris Danger, who is the career mode character of DenkOps, and Will Power, who is full of all of the energy, let's say. A very enthusiastic young man. And they're going to be taking on a former N60 champion. It is Dan and Phil, who are, I think, making only their second tag team appearance. I think. Need to maybe check the history books for that. But Dan and Phil, who are stalwarts of this tournament. They've appeared in every season thus far. And as we say, Dan is a former N60 champion. There have only ever been 3. Dan is the current longest reigning N60 champion. The current holder is Vanos Gaming, and of course Jack held it in between those and was sort of shafted out of the title a little bit. But the real story here is Will Power and DenkOps taking on Dan and Phil. How are the two heavyweights of WWE 2K17 YouTubing going to be getting on against two heavyweights of the N60 Championship YouTube series? And here's Will Power. I mean, this is the thing with Will Power. Will Power is a lot of show, but is he any go? In this match, is he just going to be dancing around being hyperactive, Will, or is he going to actually get down to some business and deliver some offense? As Dan takes control early, the former N60 champion, taking on Will, who is making his debut, I believe, in this series. And here we see the tag team action of Dan and Phil. Quick double team, Irish whip right into the knees of Phil, driving those knees into the spine. And Phil, not sure if he just fell over there or if that was an actual intentional forearm to the back. You never know with Phil. Sometimes he can use his clumsiness as offense. And I think there he may have just fallen on Will and is delivering some right hands. That's the thing with Dan and Phil. They've got this unorthodox style where you don't know whether they're falling or flying. We've got Dan back in the ring now. Quick tag from Phil. Nice quick tags between Dan and Phil. Staying on offense to Will Power, trying to isolate him, but Will Power managing to hit an arm drag there and a bicycle kick to Dan, and Will Power is a-dancing. And I think that is going to either be, I think that could be his downfall in this match if Will Power just keeps dancing. But we're seeing some nice offense. STO taking Dan down. And if Will can channel this enthusiasm, if he can channel this energy into some wrestling prowess, and a big leg drop off the top rope from Will. See, that is the sort of attacks that Will needs to be putting together as he manages to smash Dan into the corner and tag in Chris Danger, one of the most popular non-wrestler created wrestlers in the WWE 2K17 community creations. And that was a nice little interlude there. Stereo kicks on Dan. And now, and referee showing we're almost getting squashed by Dan there. Is Chris Danger throws Dan into the corner and throwing him shoulder first into that turnbuckle. And again, Dan, very tall. He's very surprisingly powerful for a guy of his size. But does he have the coordination to back that up? As Chris Danger is really swung this match back into the favour. And that is a huge sit-out suplex pile driver. And that could knock Dan silly as Phil tries to sort of clamber into the ring, goes for a kick but misses, but hits Chris in the back of the spine with a forearm. And now just massive forearms, which also takes Will Power off the apron. And Phil there with a little bit of interference, which is managing to put the momentum back in the favour of Dan and Phil. And Chris Danger is put into the corner of Dan and Phil. And again, the tag team specialists with a double axe handle off the top rope onto the arm of Chris Danger. Chris Danger's signature moves, the Lost in the Woods, and also the super kick. But again, these strikes, quick strikes by Chris Danger. And this does not look good for Phil, as he is then power bombed into the corner. And if I was Chris and Will here, if if this was my match in the tournament, I would go to work at trying to isolate Phil from Dan, trying to keep him away from his corner. The other sort of the backlash of that strategy is that the more offense you put on Phil, the more you're going to annoy Dan. There is nothing which enrages Dan more than misfortune becoming to his Phil. As again, Will is distracted distracted himself by playing up to the fans here. But again, Phil going for that offense and eats the canvas with an X-Factor facebuster from Will Power. Maybe Phil could have hoped to have used that window of opportunity to maybe tag in Dan. But again, the double team specialists of Will and Chris Danger. Gotta love the chemistry between these two. Again, two WWE 2K17 experts. You've got to think that these could be big favourites going into the tournament, despite the experience of Dan and Phil and the fact that Dan is a former champion. And Chris Danger using Will Power as like a human missile, taking down Phil. And once he gets some offense, Will's going to follow up with some dancing. And again, we're just needing to see that focus and that energy from Will Power. It's all flashy and all, but wait, hang on, what's happening here? Will Power now throwing Phil to the outside. And what's he looking at here? Is he finally going to harness his energy into something useful? Will Power off the ropes. Tope con hilo on amazing Phil from Will Power. And that is when Will Power is at his most dangerous, when he channels that energy into some of the most dangerous offense that we're going to see in this tournament, as Phil is thrown back into the ring and he is desperately got to make a tag to Dan here. And Dan, whose rage is going to be building as he sees more and more offense be coming to Phil. There's two, and Dan just couldn't take it anymore. He's run in and broken up the pinfall and delivers just some cheap shots to Will. But Will Power now just getting the best of Dan and throwing him to the outside. And that is bad news for Phil, because it means that Dan is not in the position to be making a tag here. Phil is on the ropes, but he manages to throw Will to the outside. This is Phil's big chance. He needs to make the tag to Dan, and he does so. He makes the tag to Dan, is not on fire. And now this match could swing back into Dan in Phil's favour. And Dan, what are you doing? That is not your domain. He's flown off the top rope with a diving crossbody to Will Power. And as I told you earlier, when Phil is taking punishment, Dan gets mad and is now delivering all sorts of punishment to Will Power on the outside of the ring. This isn't the usual offense we usually see from Dan, but when Phil's been attacked, he gets annoyed and he is aggy and he is taking it out on Will Power. And now Will is the one who needs to be looking to make a tag to his partner here, as again Dan uncharacteristically going to the top rope, delivers an elbow drop to the back of Will Power. And could he be looking for some signature moves here, as he's begging for Will Power to get up? A lot of momentum here from Dan and Phil. He needs to be staying on offense, and we've seen this before. I think this is the move that Dan used to win the to almost secure himself the championship, the Pepsi plunge. A pedigree from the top rope. Chris Danger trying to break this up, tries to do so, but is not successful. Even tried to springboard moonsault them in midair, but that is it. It's got to be one, but Chris Danger already in the ring, breaks up the pinfall. And now gets in tries to buy his partner some time by taking out Dan, because Will's going to need some time, because that is a huge, devastating move, one of the most devastating moves that you're going to see in the ring. And Dan now picking up Will. Will looks to be in a little bit of a state there, manages to block the right hand. The time bought from him by Chris Danger proving valuable as he hits Dan with a lie detector. Picks Dan up. And he's looking for it. The Will Power Bomb. Huge, devastating move, followed by a springboard lion salt from Chris Danger. What tandem offense from these two, and that has got to be it. That could be it. 1, 2, and that one is 3. Will Power and Chris Danger, arguably with an upset over two veterans of this tournament, advancing to the next round. And we've got one more first round match, I believe, and that is going to be the team of H2O Delirious and Vanos being in action for the first time in this tournament. We've seen them attack Jack and Mark before the bell in a previous video. But what is going to happen? Will they advance to the next round against Stampy and Hyperlistic Squid? I've been N60 Sean. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you for the next video. You are all very much awesome. I keep saying it again, but I truly, truly mean it. And thank every single person who watches all these videos, drops all the likes, leave all the comments. Genuinely, thank you so much. See you later. Bye.